Hi everyone and welcome. My name's Julie Mann and I am a professional network marketer. I'm an actor and I'm also an EFT practitioner. And today I'm talking to the lovely Lucia Pavlikova, who is a mindset coach. Hi Lucia.
Hi, Julie. Hi. So nice to be here with you.
It's
Thank you.
great to see you. So before we get to talk about what the work that you do now, how about you start telling us what life was like when you were growing up in Slovakia?
All right. Good question. uh, I have nice memories. I grew up in the northern part, which was almost in Poland, I would say. And I grew up near the lake. It's around the mountains, so I remember we did a lot of sports. The winters were super cold. I remember even when it was around -20. It was many years ago. And yeah, I spent there like 18 years growing in my hometown with my parents, with my sister, and and it was nice time. I don't know. I mean, I remember my parents telling me, how it was when we were still under Czechoslovakia, so like one country. So it was a bit different. And then I think it was in 91 or 93 when we divided. So I don't remember that, but we became like a sovereign country. And for me, it was just nice to be in the area where we had so many opportunities to do the sports. That was part of my lifestyle. So I was doing a lot of things. I was always outside, outdoor. Not, I think it's a bit different now. Like you spend a lot of time online, but before we were always outside, always running somewhere. It was like a wild childhood, let's say.
Fabulous, a feral child.
Yes, yes.
So I know on your website you say that you used to live an ordinary life. What do you actually mean by that?
Oh, yes, because I had opportunity to travel the world. And before I became coach, I work in the hospitality industry. So which meant for me that was a huge opportunity to change places. I lived in Cyprus, I lived in Croatia, in Italy, in Germany, where I am now. So that gave me huge opportunity to see different cultures, to see people, experience life from different perspective. Everyone had something to add to my life. So whoever I met, I realized I was growing with these people. So every experience I had and all opportunity I had, not only professionally but also personally, it helped me develop to the person I am now. And I love sharing all the experiences with people I work with as well. And for me it feels like giving back. Whatever I gain from other people who helped me to develop, now I feel like I'm giving that part of them to others.
So is there a definition then for your version of an extraordinary life?
Being myself, enjoying myself, and and really experience everything with gratitude, being grateful for whatever I have, because this is the part of our lives when we tend to forget what we have, and most of the time we focus on more on what we don't have. And for me that's really the blessing, because always when I go through the difficult times, I remind myself like, oh wait, but I've got everything I need. It's like just that small moment which tells you, all right, I would like to have that, but then I say to myself, no, but right now, I am safe, I'm healthy, I have my friends and I have my family. So basically, that's all what I need to my life. So I just keep reminding myself, and that's basically ordinary or extraordinary for me.
Yeah, being grateful is a very powerful thing to do, isn't it? So you mentioned difficulties. So I imagine going from Slovakia and traveling the world like you did, that there were challenges. So what are some of the biggest challenges you had to face, and how did you overcome them?
The challenges, everyone sees them differently. So what was challenge for me, someone would say like, oh, that's a piece of cake, you know. So the challenges for me was to become from the professional level for me to, because I was very young professional, I had managerial position. And for young women, getting that, how you call it, respect from your peers who are much older, who are more experienced, and showing them that you can do the job as well. So that was kind of challenge for me, but I didn't see it like that because I was very driven, like I was career oriented at that time. So I just wanted, to prove myself. It's like, I can do it, I can do it. So I was very driven. So that time it didn't seem to me. But then when I looked back, reflected, like, actually, thinking about this period, like I could have given up. I could have just say like, okay, that it's not the way how I would love to work with people. But on the other hand, actually it made me stronger. So it was challenge, but actually in a positive way. Some people maybe would say like, oh yeah, I don't like that when you are not recognized and you work very hard, you work extra hours to show, that you can do that. And from personal level, I would say changing countries, it seems so exciting. Like, oh yeah, that's cool. But on the other hand, it's different when you go on a vacation for 2 weeks, enjoy the country. Like I lived in Florence in Italy, and it's a beautiful city. It's Florence is so well known, so everyone thinks like, oh yeah, wonderful. But changing countries, changing environment, changing people around you, all of a sudden you need to find your community again. So it's kind of something which you need to get used to and improvise all the time. So it's always challenging at the beginning, but it's something which over the time it became part of me. So I didn't see it like that anymore. So now I feel like it's part of my life, change countries.
Dealing with new languages as well, that's the other challenge, isn't it?
Yes, but I think I consider myself like multilingual, and I've always loved studying languages. So for me, it actually was not really difficult. I speak several languages. I mean, not everything fluent, but I just didn't see it that way. For me, it was more natural. Of course, I could have been better in speaking certain languages, definitely. But I enjoyed it. It was part of the journey when I could, relate to people from that country even more. And speaking English, to be honest, on the other hand, as well gives you so much freedom, because nowadays almost everyone speaks English. So even if I had some difficulties in the end, I could always switch to English.
Which can make some of us English a little bit lazy because so many people speak English. Yeah. Now, I happen to know that you're a very passionate vegan. So tell us about your journey, how you adopted that vegan lifestyle.
I started the journey around 5 years ago, I think. First time when I lived in Croatia, actually. I had a friend who was vegetarian, and we talk a lot about this lifestyle. It was completely new for me, so I was not really skeptical, but I think I was more afraid because there was a lot of things going around, like, oh yeah, you don't have enough protein to be to maintain health, then about the calcium and all these things which that time still kind of ruled my world. So I was really afraid. And of course, my family, once they found out that it was kind of challenging to explain them as well, because I did a lot of research on my own before I switched to it. And so it was, I started to be vegetarian for a certain time. And then I said, okay, so actually I'm still alive. so for it was enough evidence that it's sustainable. And that switch for me, going vegan, was actually learning about the meat industry, about how animals are treated. So that was really strong catalyst for me to do it. So it was not from the health side, even though I noticed after 6 months or so, I noticed some nice changes, health wise. But the main reason was the ethical reason for me, because what I learned while I was doing research, for me, that was really strong evidence behind, like, okay, I want to do it just because of that. And that was much easier to do it because I had strong why behind me.
And also, of course, the impact on the environment as well is huge, isn't it?
That was the second thing. Yes, of course. Then knowing what everything is connected, how it's connected, and how much impact it has. Even one person, how much impact can have, because we usually say like, oh yeah, one person, we cannot change anything. But then if you think about it and say, you just do one change in your life, and then maybe you just inspire someone else, and that person just does the same change, so it's like the circle of people who are changing the world, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I know that you have many, many skills. You're skilled in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, Reiki. There might be some people watching who actually, I mean, I know what timeline therapy is. I've actually trained in that myself too. But so there might be lots of people who've never heard of that. So can you explain exactly what that is?
Sure. I will try to do my best. It's a very specific technique, but basically, it all is around the subconscious mind. So that's basically my growth work, what I do, and the technique uses our subconscious mind. It's basically goes deep into our subconscious, which protects us and reveals the root cause of emotions. Like, we have some negative emotions all over time, which we gathered, like anger, sadness, guilt, shame. And with this technique, the person can easier get into that connection of the root cause. And after the therapy, basically you kind of feel lighter. The clients get much lighter feeling, because it gives you different perspective. You see things which happened to you in the past. You see it from different angle, and that's kind of the catalyst of the change, the transformation, because usually we keep ourselves stuck in the past, like because of these emotions, that we feel like, oh, someone hurt us, or there is some guilt around, or even anger, like a very, very bad anger, that you are still angry with some person or circumstance. So that it can help to uplift that and give you that freedom of, and then you look at it, oh, okay, this is something I didn't look at, in that perspective, from that point of view, and so on.
Brilliant. And I think that probably most people go about their life and they're either thinking about past events, they're triggered by past events, or they're actually thinking about what they're going to do in the future, and they're not actually enjoying the present moment, which of course is where all the joy is, which is one of the reasons why gratitude is so great, isn't it? Because it brings you right into the present moment. So the other thing is, of course, that there are lots and lots of myths around hypnotherapy. People that really don't understand it think that perhaps they're going to be made to do something they don't want to do. They're going to be out of control. So can you address some of those concerns, Lucia?
Yeah, sure. I hear it quite often as well. It's something which is still kind of deeply rooted in us, and being afraid of that. So hypnotherapy, or hypnosis, it's a natural state, first of all. We go into hypnosis so many times, sometimes during the day, we just don't recognize it, because it's like when you drive on the highway and you are just driving, and all of a sudden you are just, you just drift off somewhere, and then you realize, oh, I just passed the exit. I didn't realize. So that's kind of that hypnotic state, that, you just forget about our surrounding, and you are in that moment, like kind of hypnotic moment state, when everything is just blurred. Or when you are in the elevator, you just press the button, then you again, you go somewhere away, and then all of a sudden the door open, and you are like, am I on the right floor? So again, that's the same state. So it's completely natural. And for that reason, when you are in that state, when you don't pay attention, you are actually, again, accessing your subconscious mind, which operates automatically. We are basically 95% operating from subconscious mind. And with hypnosis, in that state, which I just described, it's much easier to give a positive affirmation to yourself. So if you want to change, I don't know, if you want to stop smoking, if you want to, lose weight much easier and sometimes faster, if you want really to ease your anxiety, this is a great tool to do that, because you go straight into your unconscious mind and you are not aware that much, because that's 95% of our life when everything is done by subconscious. It helps to override our programming in that part of our brain.
And actually, we're not going to do anything that doesn't fit with our values and beliefs anyway, are we? So there's no such thing as being out of control or being made to do something.
No, definitely. Also, the very important thing is, if you don't want to be hypnotized or anyone else, no one is going to do that. If you say to yourself, no way, it's just like, I cannot do that. It's basically your free will as well to say yes or no. So of course, I think that somehow people feel like it can be manipulated, but if you think about all the therapies, it's all done just for doing the better for person. So there is no manipulation behind that.
Absolutely. And hypnotherapy is a highly regulated industry anyway, isn't it? Yeah. So what kinds of people do you work with, Lucia, and what are they typically dealing with?
So I work mainly with women who deal mainly with burnout and anxiety, as I mentioned, overwhelm. So these are typical signs which goes all together with stress, and the burnout consequently, when you are too long in that state. So yes, the women who come to me, they are, want to change something in their career. They want to get more confidence, for example, but they don't know how. Like it's just so many things they want to achieve, they want to do, and they just need a bit of guidance how to tap into their own power, how to maybe prioritize things, and even to avoid that burnout, to get into it, because if you don't do too many things, then yeah, it's more easier to get into that overwhelm or that burnout cycle.
Great. And I'm just wondering, really, if there's someone watching who perhaps is struggling, maybe they're feeling stressed, they're feeling burnout, and they're not quite sure what to do. Are there some simple tips right now that you could give someone watching that could make a difference?
Yeah, well, basically what we've talked about the gratitude and present moment. These are wonderful, very easy techniques and tips which people can use, because what is anxiety is basically worrying and thinking about the future, what can happen in the future, what if can happen, So really grounding yourself in the present moment, and being grateful for what we have in this moment. Really, like I said before, like being grateful for being healthy, having friends, having family, someone around. It's wonderful tool to stay in the present moment and shift the perspective, because our mind usually mainly subconscious mind tries to protect us. So as soon as you bring yourself into the present moment and say like, okay, I am here, I'm fine, you take the deep breaths. Breathing techniques are wonderful tools as well, bringing you here and now, that can make miracles for that moment. And asking question like what worse could happen helps us a lot as well. Like what worse could happen, and as well what best could happen, if I do that this and that. So just question your mind, because also our mind wants to give us answers. So every time you ask yourself the question, you automatically already hear the answer, you already know the answer. So being here, knowing asking the right question for yourself, which can help you to find a solution. And yeah, I think this is the best to do.
Great questions. And I guess having the extreme, the worst and the best, the brain can, acknowledge that actually there are many, many choices, because there's bits in between as well. So love that. So how would someone find out more about you, Lucia?
So I am on all social media. So definitely people can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and I have my own website as well. It's my first name, last name, at luciapavlikova.com. So wherever you like, you can reach out to me and I will be happy to chat.
Great. And anything else, before we close, anything else that you'd really like to say?
Yes, be happy and be grateful every single moment of your life, because life is wonderful.
Love that. Lucia Pavlikova, thank you so very much.
Thank you as well, Julie, for having me. Thank you. My pleasure.